Hello there and welcome to another episode of Challenge, episode 31 I believe, and today's challenge takes us once again back to Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005 with a challenge from AJ Lethal, who has been in the Need for Speed modding scene for quite a number of years now, especially with High Stakes and Most Wanted in fact. And his challenge is for me to defeat Razor using the BMW M3 GTR. Sounds like a simple challenge, right? Well, if you've been paying attention there to those performance stats, you might notice they're not quite as high as they should be, and for a very good reason. This isn't, in fact, the regular BMW M3 GTR that you get at the end of the game once you get your car back. It is the M3 GTR you start the game with before it's taken away from you. If you play through Most Wanted, you might remember that the M3 GTR isn't quite as fast as when you get it at the end of the game. And basically that's pretty much done for a reason, to give a newcomer player more of a first-hand experience, trying to get used to the feeling of the game and everything. Plus, it just kind of it makes it feel more rewarding when you get the car back and it's suddenly a lot quicker. But that's considered a separate model in the files, and like the car ID for the faster version, whereas this one is the slower one. That's basically how the game is able to call for each one in their respective points in the game. So what I've done is I've just painted it black. I did that purposely, like I didn't put the usual Most Wanted livery on it just so it could stand out a bit. I also put the Junkman parts on it, which you can do, by the way, simply just by going to download the Extra Options mod, which is also how I was able to freeze the car when doing it up in the My Car screen and bring it into the career mode. So here we go. This is all we got to do now, is try to beat Razor, which should make things a bit more interesting because, you know, he has the faster BMW, whereas I have the slower one. And if you're wondering why the lighting has changed again, it's because I'm trying out AJ Lethal's lighting mod V2. In the last video where I did all the cars again on Petersburg with the Kuru tune, that was done with the old V1 lighting mod, and this is the V2, which reduces the saturation down and kind of makes it appear a lot more level, but still has quite a lot of color and still makes it look really, really nice. And of course, I'm using TechSed mods like the Modern Rockport Beta 2 and some of the Xbox 360 stuff just to make it look a little bit nicer and everything. The only change from that video is I don't have the higher quality vinyls installed, and that was just because I was testing something out, and unfortunately the textures.bin, there's a textures.bin file you have to replace with when putting in those vinyls, and for whatever reason, if a car was not compiled to use those higher quality vinyls, the game will crash, which is really infuriating. So I don't have that on right now, but in this case, because I didn't put a livery on my BMW anyways, it won't really matter that much. It's just kind of a annoying situation. But as you can see, even though this BMW is slower, it's not exactly a slouch by any means. It can easily still get quite a bit of momentum, and if you give it enough patience and a long enough straightaway, you can get this car to go over 200 miles an hour. So it's still quite quick. It's just not as quick as the one that Razor's in, aka yours. Yeah, but as you can see, though, I did get quite lucky with this speed trap. This was one I was kind of worried about because Razor, of course, will have the advantage of being able to use all that extra speed in his BMW compared to mine. But yeah, he didn't quite utilize it very well, and I was able to throw a donut at him to really get him back there. So this one actually turned out to be a bit of a cakewalk. So yeah, first go on that one. That's always good. But the next one was the one I was really worried about, and that is, of course, the drag race. Because yeah, short distance, having to beat him in a slower BMW. This took a few tries, if you could imagine. Yeah, as you can see there, I didn't quite get in front of him there at first, but then I was able. He kind of screwed up his run, and I was able to get in front of him and hold on to it. So really, I basically just lucked out by the fact that he screwed up. It took, like I said, it took a few tries. There was one run during that drag race where he crashed just, and I mean just, before the finish line, totaling his car. And it even said so on the leaderboard. And I didn't crash, and I actually finished, and I crossed the line. And I still came second. That was like the biggest amount of bullshit I had ever seen in this game. I literally sat there thinking to myself, and in fact, I believe I said it, what the fuck? Yeah, by the way, this is post-commentary, or as if you couldn't tell already. And the reason for that is because I forgot to, well, I say I forgot to, for whatever reason, like, I recently updated my build of Windows 10 because, you know, Windows 10 updates and everything. And no, by the way, it did not force me to install it. I had the choice of when I could install it. But, so, I put on that update, and for whatever reason, it changed my default microphone setup to the Elgato's line capture, because I've got an old Elgato capture card. I still need to upgrade my Elgato. That's something I hope to do somewhere down the line. I want to get the HD60 Pro or 60S. And before you ask, I don't want to spend a ton of money getting a 4K 60 Pro, especially when I don't have a 4K TV or monitor. So, but yeah. So, for whatever reason, it changed it to that, even though in the Windows volume thing, I set it so it should go to the, and by the way, apologize for that notification sound. But, so I set it to use my regular microphone, which is like, I plug it into the back of my motherboard, because the rear audio jacks on the motherboard are actually really, really good. They're very, I've been using them for quite a long while now, because they produce a very clean sound. There's no notable degradation in audio quality. Although that probably has a lot to do with the fact that Gigabyte, for their Aorus gaming brand, you know, they made sure not to cheap out on the audio hardware. I mean, I believe it is the usual default it's Realtek high definition audio, which you see that all the time, but it's not one of those situations where it's like really cheaply made or something. It's all properly grounded and stuff, and I think there is a certain audio Realtek audio chip in there. I gotta look it up whilst I'm doing this, but yeah, you can basically tell, like, it's so clean and it sounds really nice when I talk. Because there's no like very loud hissing or anything. It's just very well done. Okay, they call it Aorus Audio. It's a Realtek high-end HD audio codec, ALC 1220 120 decibel SNR HD audio with smart headphone amp automatically detects impedance of your head-worn audio device, preventing issues such as low volume and distortion. Yeah. So basically, it's yeah. They one of the things about this board is that they use like hi-fi grade capacitors and stuff. So it's all really high quality stuff. So it's one of the reasons I've actually been using my motherboard's audio ports. And again, I use the back ones because the front ones do produce a little bit of hissing. It's way better than some of the other front ports I've used in the past on other computers, but, you know, I want to eliminate as much of that as possible, so I'd rather just plug it into the back ports on my motherboard because, you know, they work very well and they sound as clean as this. Anyways, that's enough of me rambling about that. You probably get the idea by now. But yeah, so that first sprint race was not particularly very hard. I did screw up a couple sections here and there, but honestly, really, it was fine. There was no serious issue. We did it without too much issue, and that's the important bit. This one, I was kind of interested to see how it was going to turn down. This is the only circuit race of the bunch, a three-lapper. Although, that being said, this one isn't actually very hard. Because the thing is, right, like, you do get a lot of, like, high-speed sections here, which, you know, should put you at a disadvantage, but the BMW does handle very well. It's a very good handling vehicle. I would say I would rank it amongst like top 5 vehicles for handling in this game. I wouldn't say it's the absolute best. The absolute best, and by the way, I was originally going to try to improve it more by using the aerodynamic slider. Then I remembered, oh right, I didn't put a quote-unquote spoiler onto the car, because the spoiler that you see is a cosmetic thing, and because I don't have any proper performance parts, I can only use the Junkman stuff. It basically just, well, didn't exist. But I thought to myself, I was like, it's fine, I don't really need it. I haven't been struggling that much. Well, apart from the drag race, but the drag races just suck in this game anyway, so that's kind of a given. There's a reason why they got rid of it in Carbon, because they realized that the structure of the most wanted map for drag races was terrible, and I guess they didn't want to have a repeat situation with Carbon. It did come back in Pro Street, but that was like an actual proper drag racing thing, so it was way better. It also just seems kind of weird anyways, but like some of these roads that they chose is like, what would you really want to drag race on a surface, on a road that's all very curvy and has a lot of turns and stuff? It's, you know, I don't know. Maybe I just don't understand street racing very well. But anyway, so this particular section here, going around the college, is actually probably the easiest section in the whole race, for one simple reason, and that is because Razor, and I think just about nearly every other AI, always has the tendency to ride the curb on going around the college. And the thing is, riding the curve basically means they're also going to be smacking into all the objects that happen to be on and around and close to the curb, all the poles and all like the other little stuff. So technically, throughout that whole section, he's losing speed because he keeps smacking into it and is not getting off the curb. So if you get worried, like you see something like this where he's starting to get really on your ass, you just got to remember that he's going to inevitably ride the curb. Because here, like I had a bit of a screw up, so I was thinking, oh well, shit. But he ended up hitting the truck, so I was able to gain a little bit on him. But of course, now you can see he's trying to start to pull away. Although he's not completely losing me. Like, I still have him in sight. And yeah, you see there he's knocking over those there. I ended up accidentally killing a soccer mom, my bad. And yeah, you can see here I always take the shortcut because he does. And it's like, yeah, this cuts out a lot of time, so definitely do that, because if he's going to do it, you might as well. You just got to remember when it comes up, because if you're not paying attention, it is a little bit easy to pass by it without realizing, and then you end up taking the long way around. And trust me, you don't want to do that. So yeah, you can see here I was a little bit behind him. Now again, he's going to ride the curb. You can see him over to the right there. He's all the way to the grass even. He made a slight diversion, but then he just goes right back on it. So even though I was that bit behind him, because of the fact that he rode the curb like that and stayed and even went as far into the grass, he again lost all that speed because he smacked into all the objects and everything. So as a result, I was able to build all that gap in front of him again. And even though I hit another soccer mom there, it really didn't affect me too badly because I still had at least a bit of a distance in first place. So yeah, definitely take advantage of the fact that he rides the curb. It's like EA must, like, not EA, Black Box must have known that the AI was doing that. I'm wondering if they knew and they just decided not to fix it, or if it was just a case of them like, it doesn't really matter. I don't know. But it could just be the way the AI was programmed. Like, maybe, like, I'm sure they didn't intend for them to drive on the curb, but they did, and I'm not sure if they tested the track long enough to realize the common tendency for the AI was to do that. Excuse me. Yeah, though, it's pretty much an easy going ride here. Built up another good gap, and just trying to make sure I don't start really smacking into more vehicles, because I've already done that a couple times on this lap alone. I nearly In fact, when I mentioned earlier, don't make sure not to forget about the shortcut. I nearly did. Like, I was starting to just get past it, and then I was like, oh shit, wait a second. And then I hit the speed breaker a little bit to make sure I didn't overshoot it. So, yeah. But yeah, you can see there Razor is trying to catch up. He's, you know, he's not that far behind now, but still a little bit of a distance. But then of course comes going around the college bit, and yeah, you can definitely tell where this is going from here, as I've mentioned several times. Yeah, you can just see it on the map there. Like, you can see where he was and now where he is now, and just how much he falls back. It's funny to me, basically. But yeah, so there's another one down, and as you can see, we won by nearly, well, I say nearly, just over 4 seconds. So that just leaves one more to go, and then we have the finish. And would you look at that? It's raining and still dusk. At least I'm pretty sure it's dusk. Well, was, and now it's just very cloudy. Just rain, maybe. But yeah, you can really see just how much of a different mood this game has with a lighting mod like this. It really gives it a much different feel. Some people might be turned off from this stuff. Like here's the thing, right? I like having color in my games, which is why I use lighting mods like this. But I do understand why some people would prefer to have something that's more akin to the original game, but of course not vanilla, because the vanilla filter on PC just basically looks like someone pissed all over the screen because it's super yellow. But a lot of people, you know, they like to have a very like brownish, kind of somewhat greenish lighting to make it kind of more like the Xbox 360, because because you know, in a way it does kind of fit the mood of the game, and it's what a lot of people are probably very familiar with. So it's understandable as to why people would want to do that. I'm just not of those people. I like to kind of give my worlds a bit of color, because it makes things pop out more, and it kind of, you know, even though it might make the feel a little bit different, it kind of just feels more lively, and kind of in some ways, I guess, makes it feel more exciting to look around you and everything. So yeah, but it's really just, I guess to be fair, it really just comes down to like subjective opinion. So, but I really like this one when the sky's kind of like pink, I think the pink or purpley and stuff, and you have like the glare of the sun there. It's really cool. Now this is the one part I'm very glad about that Razor doesn't do, at least for most of the time I've done this event. He doesn't seem to usually do so. You have the massive shortcut going through the hospital like that. I believe that's the hospital. And he doesn't take it. He goes the long way around. You can build a lot of a gap by taking it when he doesn't. Like, definitely take advantage of that, because he's inevitably going to, you know, close in on the gap. But whilst you have the opportunity to, definitely utilize it, because it'll definitely pay off to do so. Ugh, excuse me. Yeah, whoops. So yeah, I'm not really sure what else to talk about right now. I guess I've pretty much gone through everything, but you can tell I definitely enjoy playing this game, which is why I've done so many challenges of it and so many videos of it and everything. I still maintain that Most Wanted, in my opinion, is one of the easiest Need for Speed games to pick up, just simply because of the fact that a lot of the cars, I mean, not particularly every single one of them, but a lot of the cars just handle really nicely for the physics, and it's easy to kind of just get the hang of and whatnot, and it feels very rewarding when when you get far into the game and stuff. And one of the things I like about the game too, that I was always annoyed about that later Need for Speed titles didn't do, starting with Carbon, was that you could take any car in the game and go to the end game with it and win. I like that, because it gives you more ending possibilities, like in terms of how well it all works out and everything. You can't do that in the later games because of the tier system. But yeah, there we go. That is another win, and with that, we have defeated Razor with the slow BMW M3 GTR, which means that is another challenge pass. Finally back into the green. I said finally back into the green. We're back into the green after the last episode where we had an impossible challenge. And again, we just beat it by 4 seconds. But yeah, and even though I have the thing enabled to re-challenge the Blacklist rivals at any point, because of the connection Raze has there, you still get put into the end pursuit, and because we froze this BMW, we're still doing it with the slow BMW, so oops. Have fun with that. It's still easily possible, though. I mean, as you saw my first challenge where I did it with a Gravedigger, and then a video where I did it with the Gurkha. So if those can do it, you could easily do it with this BMW. But anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. If you would like to request a challenge for me to complete, feel free to leave it down below in the comments. Try to make sure your challenge request won't take more than 30 minutes for a video. If you're looking for ideas of what games to request challenges for, check out my game list down below in the description, where I have a list of games that I happen to own or are looking to own in the future. Otherwise, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, and hit the subscribe button if you want to see some of my other videos. Make sure to hit the bell icon so you can get notified on what videos I release next. You can also check out my other links down below in the description, where I've got a Patreon if you want to support the channel, a Twitter if you want to come see my ramblings, a Twitch if you want to watch me stream, a Discord if you want to come and chat with me and others about the channel or similar stuff, and a Curious Cat if you want to ask any questions. Huge shout out to Toxic Honey Badger for being an awesome pledger on Patreon. Thanks again, and I will see you guys on the next video.